Okay, this is a fair division problem, specifically sealed bids. This is the method of sealed bids that they're asking us to work on here. Oh, it says it right there. So sealed bids. So this is the trickiest topic in this chapter. In this chapter 3 of fair division, sealed bids is by far the hardest part. So let me go through this carefully with you. So we have some people, A, B, C, and D. They're heirs. They must fairly divide an estate consisting of two items, a house and a car. So how do four people fairly divide two items? How can that be? There's only two items. How can it somehow be split up fairly among four people? And the answer is, it's by bidding. They're each going to give a sealed bid, which means a secret bid. They're not going to show the other people what they're bidding. So they ask person A, how much do you think the house is worth? And person A says $240,000. There's a comma right there, right? After the 3 zeros, so $240,000. And person B, what do you think the house is worth? 220. Person C, 236. Person D, 239. We're going to give the house to whoever bids the highest. They bid this secretly. They sealed the bids. They wrote them down on their own papers and secretly handed it to the attorney or whoever was in charge of the inheritance. So we're going to give the house to person A. But careful, before you start thinking that's unfair right away, person A is going to have to pay back a bunch of money to make it all fair. You'll see as we go through the problem. And then they all also bid on the car. We say, person A, what do you think the car is worth? $30,000. B says $28,000. C says $33,000. D says $32,000. Who bid the highest on the car? Because whoever bids the highest gets the item. And that is person C. Person C bid the highest on the car at $33,000. So we're going to give the car to person C. You think, well, this isn't fair. B and D get nothing? Maybe they should have just bid higher. No, they're going to get a bunch of cash. Basically, this method is actually a genius method. It'll take care of two things. Number one, there's the fact that different people have different values, right? Not everybody values the house the same. You might say, well, yeah, but there's the fair market price. Yeah, there's a fair market price, but that doesn't mean that's exactly what it's worth to every individual. Person A might have lived there longer than B, C, and D with his or her parents, and it's sentimental to him, and so is worth more to him, or something like that. We don't know. In the car, same kind of thing. So different people value different things differently. That's the first difficulty with fair division. Secondly, people are hostile. They don't always get along. They don't always love others as much as they love themselves. They don't always do for others what they would want done for them. So because of that's where the math comes in. That's the method of sealed bids is a mathematical method by which we can still, even though people have different desires, they don't all value things the same, different values, and they're not always looking to be kind to each other. Even with that, we can have a method that will force them to be fair. It will. If they try to cheat the system and bid higher or lower falsely, it'll punish them. They'll wish they hadn't. This method is ingenious. Let me show you how it works. So first step, step number one, is we give the items to the highest bidder, to the highest bid. Right? So it could be, you could give this both the items to the same person. A could have got both the car and the house if he would have bid highest on both. That can happen. And the other people would just get a bunch of money. So anyway, you give we're giving the house to A because he bid the highest on the house, and the car to C because he bid the highest on the car. Second step, let's go to the table now. So step one, give the items highest bidder. Step two, go to the table. Let me show you the table. So I'll come on down here. I've got it bigger for us. And so next we're going to do the total. So I'm going to add these up, add these up, add these up, add these up. So the total bids, this will be, put the comma here, the comma here. This is 270,000, right? Comma here, 248. I'm just adding vertically. You can use your calculator. 236 and 33, 269,000. Put a comma here, comma here. What's that? 271,000. Okay, so there is our total. So that's the next step. So after the total, you want to do the fair share. Now, how do we, I probably made that a little big. How do we figure out what a fair share is? What's a fair share? Well, we have 4 people here, right? If you had a candy bar and you were dividing it among 4 kids, what would be a fair share? They would each get a fourth of the candy bar, right? So fair share is divided by 4, because that's the number of people. The number of people. Okay, so here, let me extend. Well, so I'm going to take that 270,000 number right here, and I'm going to divide that by 4 on my calculator. And I'm getting 60. Okay, so I'm getting 67,000. Whoops, let me make that a little bigger for us. 500. Then I'm going to take the next number. I'm going to take this and divide by 4. So my calculator. So 62,000. Next one. 67,250. And the last one, that's, I can't read that very well. 271 is what that is, huh? 271. I'm getting, whoops, 67,750. Okay. Let me fill in these lines a little bit better for us. Okay. So, and then this one, shooting across. Okay. So that's the fair share. Now, I want to be clear with you. It's all about, if you understand what these items are, this will be easier for you. That means this is the fair amount that A should receive. Why? Because A said in his sealed bid, he said the house is worth $240,000 and the car is worth 30. So he thinks together the 2 items, the house and the car, are worth $270,000. He could have written down anything he wanted. That's what he said. So if he thinks all the stuff, the house and the car together, are worth $270,000, and there's 4 people, right? 4 people, then divide that by 4. His fair share should be 1/4 of that, right? He said 270 is the total value of the house and car. He should get 1/4 of that to get a fair share. So divide by 4. He should get 67,500. And all the rest of the people have their different fair share numbers as well. That's what they should get in order to feel, that's the fair share for them. That's the fair amount they should each get, because it's the total they bid divided by 4. They get 1/4 of the total value. They each said what they think. The total values are worth. We just added up their bids and then divided by 4. So they should each get 1/4 of the total value in their opinion. All right. So now comes the first allocation. First allocation. So we already said we're giving the house to A because A bid the highest on the house, and we're giving the car to C because C bid the highest on the car, right? Items go to highest bidders. Okay, so let's think about what's happening with the house here. Or with A, I'm sorry, starting with A. A's fair share is $67,500. That's the fair amount. Total value, money and goods, A should receive $67,500 worth of stuff. That would be fair if A received $67,500 worth of stuff. We already gave A the house. We gave A the entire house, which is worth $240,000, A said. So we've given A, in A's opinion, we've given A way more than he deserves, right? His fair amount is only $67,500. That's a fair share for A. That's 1/4 of the total value for A. And yet we already gave him the house worth $240,000. So he owes us money back, doesn't he? He's been given more than a fair share. So he has to pay back the difference. Because in the first allocation, we're going to do it right across here, we've got to make everything exactly fair. So if we give people goods like the house or the car that's worth more than their fair share, they have to pay back. If we give them less than their fair share, like if we give them nothing, or we give them an item that's like the car, which is lower than their fair share amount, then we have to also give them some cash. We've got to make it fair for everybody in the first allocation. So let's do it. So fair share for A is $67,500. We gave him the house, which is $240,000. So we got to take that difference. We got to subtract on our calculator, which I'm going to do right now. And I'm getting $172,500, which he's going to have to pay back because we gave him too much. We gave him the house, which is worth way more than his fair share. So he's going to have to pay back that amount of money. Great, let's do the next person. Next person is B. His fair share, it's all about the fair share. A fair share for him would be $62,000. We didn't give him anything. Nothing. He got nothing here. We didn't give him a house or a car. We gave him nothing. So what's going to be fair for B? We're just going to straight out give him his fair share, $62,000. He gets it. He gets $62,000. That's fair, right? He didn't get any goods, so we just straight out give him the $62,000, which is his fair share. How about C? C got the car worth $33,000 to him. He wrote that down. He could have written anything he wanted. He said to him the car's worth $33,000. His fair share is $67,250. So we still owe him some more money, right? We've given him the car, which is $33,000, but his fair share is more than that. So we owe him a little bit more money on top of the car. Let's figure it out by subtraction. So we're going to take the $67,250, his fair share, and subtract the $33,000 car we gave him, and that's going to be $34,250, which he gets. He's going to get another $34,250 on top of the car to make his fair share amount. So he gets a fair share. Finally, D. D, we gave him nothing. We didn't give him the car or the house, so we're just going to straight give him cash, his fair share amount, $67,750. Just like B, he's just getting straight cash because he did not get any items. He gets $67,750. Okay. So can we answer some of the questions now? What does it say up here? The original fair share of A is worth. What's the original fair share of A? Well, fair share of A is right here, $67,500. So that would be $67,500. And then it says in the initial allocation, player A, and then this option box. Here they want us to do the items. So A got the house. This is what you would choose in this option box. Got the house. And next question is, what else does A get? A get in the first allocation here. Let me draw that line. So in the first allocation, A got the house and pays $172,500. So A got the house and pays $172,500. Right? A has to pay. Pays $172,500. That's in the initial or first allocation. We have another one coming. Let's keep going. All right, so that's the first allocation that makes everything exactly fair. Next, we have to calculate something called, let me get rid of these, something called the surplus. So the surplus, that's the extra. There's going to be some extra money. The surplus is the total of all, well, let me just say the total of all paid minus the total of all that people get. So the total money paid into the estate minus the total money that people get out of the estate. That'll tell you the extra, right? If we take the total amount of money people paid into the estate and subtract the total amount of money people get out of the estate, the difference will be the extra. So what's the total amount paid into the estate? Well, right here. It's the only person that paid into the estate. 172,000. A paid 172,500 into the estate because he got the house, which was worth way more than his fair share, so he had to pay back 172,500 minus. Now these other three people, they get. So we have to total their numbers. Let me get this out of the way so I can total 62,000. 34,250, right? 62, 34, 250, 67, 750. We got to total those. What's that going to be? Use your calculator. 11, 13, 14, 1, 12. I think it's 164,000. Let me check real quick on my calculator. Yeah, 164,000. So I'm going to subtract those and see what's happening here. 172,500 subtract 64,000. 164,000. And let's see what we get. I'm getting 8,500 surplus, extra. So that leaves us with 8,500 extra dollars, right? Because people paid into the estate more than they got out of the estate. There's more paid in than got. So when you subtract that, there's an extra $8,500 paid into the estate. That's the surplus. That's the question being asked here. $8,500. That's the surplus, the extra money in the estate after the first allocation. That's what it says right there, right? After the initial allocation, there is a surplus, $8,500. Now, what are we going to do with that surplus? We're going to take that surplus and we're going to divide evenly among the four people. So I'm going to take that $8,500, divide by 4 on my calculator. I'm going to give it back. So it comes out $21.25. So $2,125. I'm going to give that back evenly to each of the people. Each of the people is going to get 2,100. So each gets back $2,125. Right? Because that's the total surplus divided evenly among the four people. See how this is even, Steven, fair. All right, so let's do it. So now we're ready for the final allocation. Let me bring these lines down again now for the different people. Oops, that one's off a little bit, huh? Okay, so now for the final allocation. So how do we do the final allocation? Just the final money. So let's take what happened in the first allocation right here. First allocation, this person had to pay, so just write down what happened. They had to pay 172,500, right? This is person A here. They had to pay 172,500, and now what are they going to do? They're going to get back $2,125. Everybody is getting back $2,125 because that was the extra surplus divided among four people. So how are we going to figure this out? Well, do you realize this is like a tax return, right? You pay a whole bunch to the government during the year, and then you get a little bit back, maybe, in your tax return at the end of the year. You still ended up paying more than you got back, right? So if person A paid 172,500 and they got back a little bit, if I subtract those, right, I'm going to need to subtract those. So the difference down here. So let's figure that out. The difference, the subtraction minus here. Subtract those two numbers on my calculator. So 172,500 minus 2125 equals, what am I getting? 170,375. And that's what person A pays in the end, right? So originally they paid 172,500 in the first allocation, but then they got back $2,125 of that. So in the end, they're really paying 170,375. That's the final story for A. They get the house though, right? They got the house, but then they paid that money. Let's go up and write that down. So they got the house. Remember, A up here got the house, right here. A got the house, but when all was said and done in the final allocation, they had to pay 170,375. 170,375. So person A got the house, but they had to pay 170,375. Got the house, but they paid 170,375. So that's the answer there. Let's figure out the other answers just to keep everything thorough here. Let's do the final allocation for B. So B, you bring down, in the final allocation, you bring down the first allocation. They get, maybe I'll change color here, maybe that'll help. They get 62,000, right? So you write get, that's what they got in the first allocation. Person B here, they got, right there, first allocation, they got 62,000, and now each person gets, they also get a $2,125. So what are we going to do with those? We're going to add those up, right? They get and they get. They got 62,000 up here in the first allocation, and then they get 2125 in the surplus, the extra money divided among 4 people. Add those up. 64,125 is the total amount they get. So person B just gets a whole bunch of money. They didn't get any items, so they got a whole bunch of money, which comes out more than their fair share, notice. Because, right, their fair share was 62. They said, as long as I get 62,000, that's a fair share, because that was the total amount they said everything was worth, divided by 4. So this is a fair share in their mind, 62,000, and we end up giving them 64,125, even better. That's what's amazing about this method. All right, next, let's do C and D. So for C, same thing. We go to the first allocation. C gets 34,000. So we write get 34,250, and they also get 2125 because that's the surplus, the extra divided among 4 people. Add those up. They get and they get. So that's going to be what? 36,375. That's the amount they get. On top of it, this person got the car, didn't they? Person C, go back up here. Yeah, right here. Person C got the car worth 33,000, and they got a bunch of cash, making their situation fair. Finally, D, go back to the first allocation. D gets 67,750, and then they get another 2,125. Everybody gets that. That's the surplus divided among 4 people. Add that up. So what's that going to be? 69,875. And that's just straight cash. D did not get any items, but he got straight cash, $69,875. So B and D just got cash. Those two got cash only. A paid money because he got the house, and C got the car and some cash. This method is totally fair and reliable because you might say, well, look, why did D get more cash? That's not fair. Yeah, it is because D bid higher. You say, well, then just bid higher. No, if you bid higher, you might get an item you don't really want. If you falsely bid higher and say you think the house is worth $1 million when you don't really think that, guess what? You're going to get the house, right? Because you'll be the highest bidder, and you'll have to pay back a ton because you yourself said the house was worth $1 million. So you see, this method is ingenious to where it forces everybody to do what's honest. If they do what's dishonest, it'll harm them. And it allows for different value systems for different people. And everybody gets fair or even better than fair of what they said they think the values are worth in the end. So it's a great method.